Yeah, Casey and Christy, and I actually have an update about 10 minutes ago. The Village of Ruidoso actually posted on their Facebook page that Ruidoso Downs is now in go status. So if y'all are with us, or if our viewers are with us at 4 o'clock during our live hit, then they heard us explain there's two statuses. There's a set status and there's a go status. Set status means you have to be ready. Go status means you go immediately. You leave. You are in danger. So Ruidoso Downs now in go status, and you can see behind me, as far as getting into Ruidoso, roads blocked off. Nobody really being allowed in unless they are for absolute necessities, and otherwise you are not going into Ruidoso. You can actually see this plume of smoke as well, and we do believe that that is the salt fire that is pushing towards us here in Ruidoso Downs. You can see all that smoke, and I actually want to take a second just to point out how blue the sky is to the right of that smoke. And then if we go left and we look a little bit over these trees and hills and a little bit behind us even, you can see just how dark the sky gets from that amount of smoke that is just traveling through the air from that fire. Fire crews doing their best to get some contain on this. As you said earlier, the South Fork fire right at about 14,000 acres burned at last report. The Salt fire, 5,000 acres burned, or nearly 5,000 acres burned at last report. So these fires, massive and growing rapidly since they were discovered just yesterday morning, and they are being fueled by dry conditions and gusting winds. They fueled those fires to grow very quickly overnight. And as we were actually in Roswell earlier, where a few shelters have been set up for evacuees, we were talking to one of the organizers there, and she was telling us just how devastating what's happening in Ruidoso is to the surrounding community.
But it's really devastating because Ruidoso is a nice little escape for us, and on this side of the state that we like to go. So they're our neighbors. We appreciate them, and we are here to help them in any way that we can. So hopefully it gets contained soon, and we don't lose any structures or life.
Now, as far as structures go, as far as injuries, I mean, no injuries reported as of right now, but structures we did hear that at least 500 structures have been affected by the fire, either damaged or destroyed. And going through social media posts, we did see one of the local business, Alto Ski Shop, completely engulfed in flames, a complete loss, burning to the ground. So property is being destroyed here. Businesses are being destroyed, and people are fleeing and hoping that when they come back, their homes will still be intact. As for that fire suppression effort, a complex incident management team will be showing up, or has, I believe, already showed up, and they'll be taking over the fire suppression efforts tomorrow morning. We do know that they're going to break up those crews into 3 different teams, and they're going to start attacking that South Fork fire from the north, the northeast, and the south side of that fire, hopefully keeping it from destroying any more properties or getting any farther into Ruidoso Downs. So we are going to continue following all the latest developments out here in Ruidoso. We'll be live with y'all guys again at 6 o'clock. For right now, I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you, Casey and Christy.
Almost 1 million acres of land and dozens of homes have been reduced to ash.
KCBD News Channel 11's Joshua Ramirez is in Fritch with details of the loss caused by the Windy Deuce fire and the resilience the community is showing. Joshua?
Karen and Abner, as we made our way out here this afternoon, it was immediately apparent that widespread damage had been done as fires continued to burn throughout the area. Residents here hoping that they can return home tomorrow, but for many of them, those hopes have gone up in flames.
It's kind of helpless.
In Fritch, many residents are waiting to see what's left once evacuation orders are lifted. Wildfires tearing through tens of thousands of acres, forcing families from their homes.
As soon as the fire jumped 136, they were telling us we needed to get out.
Many left with just minutes to pack up what they could and get to safety.
Well, we took, some few changes of clothes, our pets, important papers and that type of thing.
For some, like Bruce Setliff and his wife, the future is clouded by the same smoke that blankets much of the panhandle.
We're just trying to gather stuff up and figure out what things need to be canceled and basically what we might want to do to restart.
Many others in the same situation as they try to figure out what's next.
From what I'm hearing, I think close to 100 homes.
Fritch ISD Superintendent Jason Garrison says for many families, the fire has taken away their sense of security and in its place left nothing but ash.
That's, where you go every night is where you lay your head down. And sadness and just, the unknown of what's going to happen.
But he says this community has experienced tragedy like this before, and he knows it'll come together in a time of need.
We've dealt like this kind of tragedy before. Back in 2014, we had a fire on Mother's Day, so our community's been through this before, and so, we pulled together then, and I know we'll pull together again.
And Garrison says some local churches have opened their doors to those displaced families. And just down the road in Borger, the Red Cross has set up at the Borger Dome. They're asking for donations of food, clothes, water, first aid supplies, anything that those displaced families might need. And we will be staying the night out here nearby in Dumas, and we will continue to bring our viewers all the latest developments through the morning. In Fritch with photojournalist Peyton Tubes, I'm Joshua Ramirez. Karen and Abner, back to you.
Thank you.
In eastern New Mexico, the city of Roswell is drying out after deadly flash floods tore through that community this weekend. At least 2 people are dead, and the mayor of the city says repairs could cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Joshua Ramirez joins us now to explain the fear that mounted as the water began to rise.
Karen, Roswell Mayor Tim Jennings tells me the airport measured nearly 6 inches of rain in just the span of a few hours on Saturday night. Those floods causing damage to critical infrastructure, municipal buildings, and residents' homes. Many cars were left suspended in trees and under bridges. The drivers of those cars rescued by the National Guard.
All my life, I've never seen this kind of flood damage that's happened here. It's catastrophic.
Those catastrophic floods killed 2 people and injured dozens more. Roswell Mayor Tim Jennings says more people could have been hurt or killed if not for the rescue response. At one point, he even tried to rescue a man that called for help, but Jennings says he was out of reach.
Luckily, the firemen got him and his son. They found him. One was in a tree and one was, clinging to stuff on the side of the bank.
Other residents losing everything they had in just minutes. The flood waters rising too fast to do anything but run.
The water just came out of nowhere. It was so deep, buried the cars under the water total. The military had to come get us out, so.
Now Keith McRory is spending his nights in a Red Cross shelter at the Eastern New Mexico State Fairgrounds with the only possessions that he has left.
I barely grabbed my dogs, and I was swimming through the water for that. We lost everything, It's been traumatic, but.
McRory still waiting to return home and find what's been left behind by the tide.
It's all completely underwater still. The cars are completely submerged, so I don't know whenever they open it up.
Hannah Schofield was visiting her aunt the night the storm hit. She was caught in the flood with her younger brother and sister. They were forced to cling to a table until help arrived.
We crawled out the windows, hopped in the water, and found a picnic table, and we're hanging on to that. And then the National Guard came over. But thankfully, thank the Lord, they were right there. Much
of the water has subsided, revealing the debris left behind and the long road of recovery that lies ahead.
It's unbelievable what has happened here.
New Mexico Governor Lujan Grisham has signed a disaster declaration for Chavez County and Roswell. That'll open up $1 million of resources to help this community clean up. Now, as for the damage throughout the community, the cost of repairs, Mayor Tim Jennings tells me he thinks it could be more than $500 million. Karen.
Thank you, Joshua. Be safe coming home.
Christy, we are still out here in Ruidoso. We're actually here at what's left of the Swiss Chalet Inn, which is just a local inn here, has been completely destroyed by those fires, left in just rubble. And we have actually learned that this is where that one confirmed death did happen. I believe it was a woman that was confirmed by state police and the governor's office yesterday. So really just symbol of how deadly and destructive these wildfires are out here right now. As we were driving up and down the road, actually, we were in a caravan led by some first responders and some sheriff's deputies. They were taking us to one of the new information posts in Capitan, and as we were driving, we saw multiple homes, multiple businesses on the side of the road completely destroyed by these flames, burnt to ash, burnt to rubble. So we do know that the amount of structures affected has been upped to 1,400 at last report. As far as the fires, they have grown as well. Still at 0% containment, but the South Fork fire now at over 16,000 acres, and the Salt fire now more than 7,000 acres as crews try to get containment on those. The Complex Incident Management Team did take control of that effort this morning, so they will now be leading the charge, trying to get containment on these wildfires and keep them out of the surrounding areas, villages, towns, and things like that. So still a lot of the roads out here blocked off, evacuation orders still in place, and those shelters that we talked about yesterday in Roswell and the surrounding areas still open to people who may need them. So we're going to stay out here. We're going to continue with this caravan led by some of these sheriff's deputies to get some more images of just the destruction that's being caused by these fires. We will bring y'all all of the latest information on air and online as we get it. For now, I'll go ahead and send it back to you in studio.
He is different in how he spent his entire career, but he did it his own way. And now, after decades of service, one of Lubbock's police officers is retiring.
Officer Larry Barnhill dedicated his time to patrolling Lubbock streets. KCBD News Channel 11's Joshua Ramirez tells us about his mission to protect and serve.
I've done everything that there is, so that there was wrecks and homicides and everything, so.
And he did it for his community. Officer Larry Barnhill is retiring after 45 years with the Lubbock Police Department. Over those decades, he never left patrol, the place he felt he could make the biggest difference.
Didn't want to go anywhere else because the patrol's where all the stuff goes on at.
Barnhill says his decision to serve the community started as a child with one of his favorite television shows.
I used to watch a show called Adam 12, and that's what made me want to be a policeman.
Watching the officers on that show inspired Barnhill to put his own safety on the line to protect others.
Makes you feel proud that you actually help somebody out. We try to help people with the best we can as far as helping them through difficult times.
Another source of pride, the people he served with.
Your squad is like your family. You get close to them. Then they move on, go different places. So.
Those fellow officers taking pride in Barnhill's service as well. In December, the department awarded him with a Purple Heart after he was injured in the line of duty, hit by a car as a juvenile suspect tried to get away.
You can't let stuff like that change the way you are. I mean, I still went out on calls. I self-initiated calls. I still made traffic stops, even after that. But that's always in the back of your head, too.
So while the job has been dangerous,
it's been my pleasure.
Now, as Barnhill goes into retirement, he takes more than 40 years of experience and memories with him, from a job and an oath to protect and serve.
Just how much I love this job. That's it. I love being a policeman.
Joshua Ramirez, KCBD News Channel 11.